Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our attendees from across the globe. Thank you so much for taking the time to join our webinar on how to build a data-driven business case for SAP S4HANA using KTern's digital maps. My name is Kirtan, and I handle the marketing and partnerships at KTern. All attendees will be muted upon entry, so if you have any questions, please raise them via the Q&A tab present at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer them at the end. We'll also have a couple of polls during the course of the webinar to keep it engaging, so please do participate in them, and we'll make this webinar more relevant to all of you. Before we get started, I'll give a brief overview on KTern and also introduce our speaker for today. KTern is an automated digital workplace for SAP digital transformations. It has 5 digital streams: digital maps, digital projects, digital labs, digital process, and digital minds. They cover the entire life cycle of an SAP project. Our speaker today, Mr. Ratnakumar Nagarajan, will be covering digital maps in this webinar. Ratna is the co-founder and director of Car Technologies, an SAP consulting firm, and is currently the chief product officer of KTern. He has over 25 years of transformation experience and over 15 years of SAP domain knowledge. Over the course of his illustrious career spanning over 2.5 decades, he has donned several hats, including operations, business development, and marketing. He has been part of 2 successful startups as well. In his free time, he mentors and supports growing startups and SMEs, or you can always find him on the football pitch. On that note, I'll hand over the webinar to you, Ratna. So over to you.
All right, thanks, Keithan. Thanks for that nice introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's connected here. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. So I'll take a few minutes to go through and set the context, because I see we have people who are as a CIO who are representing the company, and then we have functional and technical consultants as well. So I just want to set the context so there is a baseline before I proceed, and I hope my presentation and audio is okay so far. Akita?
Yes, Ratna, everything is fine and you can proceed.
All right, thanks. Thank you very much. So a quick introduction. I will straight away jump into the demo in the next 10 or 12 minutes, but just to set the context and where I come from, mid-90s when I graduated, I was, and I came out of the college, I was thinking I should get a Walkman for myself to listen to the songs, and probably the new generation is not even aware what a Walkman is, but it's the iPod or the mobile has got everything in it right now. And then I thought it was a cool thing to have that one, right? So and that was a disruption in technology, and in a positive way, right? In a positive way, it was a disruption then. And then I always thought this digital thing was about more about the code and technology and how things are. But over a period of time, talking to many customers and the analyst report that you see, technology is definitely disrupting us in a very positive way, and it is all about the people and the process and the experience that we can provide to the end customers, right? So in the same case with S4HANA as well, it is not a technical upgrade. It is not a mere upgrade. It is, and it is not about just upgrading it to a new technology. It is more about the entire journey in terms of processes and the people involved, your customers, your vendors, your business users. So they all have a role to play, right? The process starts. There are 2 ways to handle anything: inside out or outside in, and that's what I used to tell my team. Outside in is more from a customer perspective and why we should make this change. And that is what I'm going to touch upon in the next few slides. The agenda for today is 3-pronged. One is about, what is this all about, right? I mean, what are we trying to do here, and what are the different ways, that the set of questions that I keep getting from the customers? How do we approach the S4 HANA transformation, and what we do about it? So the more and more I interact with the customers, one question that keeps coming from customers is, why should I move? What is the reason that I should move? What should I do with my existing data? And I don't have a straight answer, because each landscape is different. Of course, I can go to Google and download a set of documents and tell them, hey, this is what you will get when you move to S4 HANA, and that's probably the easy way to do it. Or I could deploy a set of 5 to 6 consultants, do a set of workshop, design thinking workshop, or and find out what is there in their current system, work with the IT team, and then provide a report, which is probably 200 pages, and and then that's shelved and nothing happens then. Or the other option is to scan on the data that the customer has over a period of 10-15 years, and make some sense out of it in terms of what they should be doing, how they should be moving out, and things like that, right? So that's what I'm going to talk here. How can we make some sense out of the data that the customer is already having, and what is that we can do out of it, right? I also have a quick poll. So Akhil would probably do a poll right now. If you could just answer a question so that I am able to, um, talk on those sense, to just understand how many people are interested or starting their S4 HANA transformation soon. And that will allow me to go to the next slide of things. Yeah, I'll just give it a few minutes. All right, so yeah, so there is kind of 50-50 in yes and no in terms of S4 HANA transformation. But what I wanted to, the reason why I asked this question is basically to understand, um, you know, what are the different things that a customer goes through? I mean, what is that he should be worried about when they make the move from ECC to S4 HANA? And these are the different perspectives across which the customer or the CIO or the IT manager who's involved in the transformation, or for that matter, any system integrator, would need to answer before they move to the new world, right? It spans across the business, the process, the users who are involved, the project team. What is the team that I should be working on with? The landscape, how's the new landscape going to behave? What is the kind of OS, hardware? Where should I move my workload? What are the kind of interfaces? Because I've been using the interfaces for the last 10 years, and I don't want to disturb it. It might be broken. And what are the simplifications? What are the changes that SAP has brought in, and how will that impact my system? Right? These are the set of questions, and the investments in terms of customizations. And so that the questions are endless. Now, if you look at the slide, it's quite intimidating in terms of the number of questions that you have to answer, right? I mean, who should we train for the new world? What is the kind of training that we should provide when the system moves from ECC to S4 HANA? What is the data that I should be testing with? There are many customers who keep asking me, listen, I have 12 to 15 terabytes of data, and I want to purge or archive or leave out some data, and have a minimal data footprint when I move my SAP workload to the cloud, to the hypercloud, to the super cloud, to Amazon or Azure or HEC. And what is the data that I should move, and what should I purge? The kind of project approach that should be taken, should it be a greenfield or brownfield, or should I do a selective data transition? Uh, what should I do with the new GL? Should I stay with the classic GL? Should I do a single step or a two-step approach? Should I convert my classic GL to new GL in ECC and then move to S/4HANA? These are the set of questions that keeps coming across the different span that I've mentioned here, right? And yeah, the normal way to answer this would be to conduct workshops, run with it for 5 to 6 months, pay some top dollars, and then try to make some sense before any customers or partners move to S4 HANA. And what we realized, being in SAP for the last 15 years, running a company which is a pure play SAP consulting company, and what we realized was, why don't we give it as part of an application, as part of a product that would help them to understand what things are and how we can move to the new world. So what we essentially do is, basically we kind of connect to your existing ECC system, right? And we read the data, and we have built a rule engine which is called S4 HANA PDA engine. And once the data is read from the existing ECC system, it is juxtaposed with the rule engine that we have built over a period of 3 years, and it provides more analytical insights in terms of how the data is organized. You could have a ECC, a CRM, an SRM, or whatever it might be, or PI for the integration and things like that. But what essentially this rule engine does is, in the form of KTern, it basically has a proprietary thing called value, volume, and velocity in terms of reading huge data. And we have completely aligned with the new age technology of AI, ML, and a little bit of data science, and try to provide some insights on what data you have without even talking to the SMEs, and then help the complete SAP ecosystem in terms of making the move easier, right? So that's what basically we do with this product. And it also gives you completely contextual data. It doesn't give generic information, but it scans your existing system and then goes through the complete process of mapping it into the rule engine, and then provides more insights and impact that can create when you move to the new system. So whatever questions that we were talking about earlier, those are the answers that comes into the product, in terms of who the user should be, what the process should be, what are the different simplification items, will my T code be there, will it not be there. These are the answers that we get out of the product, right? So let me jump into the demo real quick. But before that, just wanted to set some stage uh, in terms of what it does. The rule engine itself, it starts by looking into the documents and generates a value map, which I'll show it in a second. It also does a complete drill down on the processes, right? And identifies the different stakeholders, who's the owner of processes, the impact of the simplifications, and how the new world will look like, and how your new landscape has to be changed. Also, the amount of investment that the customers have done in terms of customizations over a period of 10 to 15 years, and how do we make some sense out of it, and then an approximate timeline and approach. Right. With that introduction, let me quickly jump into the demo. Ketan, I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Ketan, can you compare if you're, just confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yes, Ratna, I'm able to see the KTern website on the screen.
All right, thank you. Okay, KTern, it's available on the internet, and you can browse through it and look for more details and understand what it's all about. So, but let me get started. The demo itself, it's available on the public URL, and you can go ahead and view the demo there. It has also got a free trial where you can connect your existing ECC system and generate the kind of reports that I was talking about. So all that you have to do is go ahead and enter your official email ID, and then it launches the product. The product itself is a SaaS product, and once you launch it, you see the project launchpad. Here you can create for the demo part. It's disabled, but you can create more projects. It's essentially a SAP digital transformation workplace where you will be able to create a project for S4HANA transformation, and you can also extend that to a success factor or a C4C or anything that's got to do with SAP, so that you have one place where you can manage your project, and it gives a complete view for someone at the CIO level to the someone at the technical and the functional consultants level to run a project. And it is also present in the cloud. It's a complete lifecycle project, and it can be used in the run mode as well. And yeah, so I'll go ahead and launch this project. This is while it is launching, yeah, you have your own workspace. The reason we built this is instead of running your projects in using 10 to 15 tools, you might want to use one tool or one product where you can manage your complete SAP transformations. And the scope of this webinar is not about the workspace and other things. So I'll straight away jump into the module kernel. Here, as Keaton mentioned, we have 5 streams, and the webinar itself for today is about the digital maps, which I'll cover in detail. But then we have other 5 streams. Okay, so I see that someone is not able to see my screen. Let me. Is my screen visible? Maybe some latency. I'm sorry. All right, thanks. Thank you. So I'll go a little slow so that you know the speed with which I talk and the speed with which the screen loads matches up. So I was talking about the 5 streams. Digital maps is something that I'll be covering today, but please do like us on LinkedIn and keep following us so that we'll do more webinars on the other streams that we talk about. Essentially, the digital maps itself, it's about doing an assessment on your existing data using bots, and then we also generate a fit gap wizard on how your current processes and how the gaps are when you move to the new system. It has got a risk predictor, it has got a TCO estimator, and there's a digital transformation roadmap simulator in terms of how we want to move. And that's what I'll be showing as part of the demo today. And then once you have this data that is scanned from your existing ECC system, you can go ahead and run your projects using digital projects, which essentially relies on the agile methodology, the activate methodology, which has been completely automated in terms of how you run a project with a cutover orchestrator. It has got a workflow a wizard with which you can manage the complete project team. It's also got a collaboration forum, audit board, some smart dashboards, and auto-generated documents in terms of running your meetings and things like that. And then you have digital labs, which essentially is an autonomous testing tool, because essentially, if you look at what SAP is doing, they're releasing for the S/4HANA public cloud, they do a quarterly drops, and for the on-premise version, they do early drops. And what is annual drops? And what is happening is you might have to test your system whenever these drops are upgraded. So essentially, you don't have to keep creating test cases and data sets again and again, and you can use the digital labs to ensure that there is testing done and only the defects are thrown. So that's what digital labs does. Digital process, probably a new offering where we map the complete process that you have and do a process mining in terms of how your process is structured. And then we also have dual twin tower where your assets and to be process can be run during the run mode. This is also will be covered in the upcoming webinars. And then we have digital mines as well, which has got the trend simulator. So with that introduction, let me get into digital maps. I'm going to launch this one. Right. So before that, I was talking about how we do it. We have a HANA PDI engine and how we connect to your ECC system, and which is not really invasive. It is on the fly that we could connect. So if you go to the landscape management, here we have a proprietary connector, and you can run it from your desktop. You don't need a server-side machine or anything. And then you just connect to your new system with a just like how you connect the SAP GUI, you could just connect it with the server credentials and it gets connected. And that's how with the whole product scans the existing system and throws the report that we are going to show in a second. So with that, so that's how it happens. Typically, you would see um, probes or add-ons put in the ECC, but that's not what happens here. It is on the fly. We can do that. And these are the five different things that it provides in terms of business transformation, in terms of landscape assessment, in terms of process assessment and custom object assessment and timeline assessment, right? This serves as the master data for us to move to the new world. So let me start with a landscape assessment. This is more on the technology side of things to understand the kind of operating system that you have, the Unicode or what database you have and how much space is present. It also provides the list of um, tables. It provides a list of large list of tables. So if you have like 300, 400 tables, or if you have logs that's present in the TST03 or BALDAT, then it kind of finds out what are the largest tables that is used, and the need of the database or the history of the last 5 years. It brings all that information and the minimum system component details that you need to be there, because we have some basis consultants present as well in terms of SAP underscore basis 700 SP17 or the 700 SP19, where it has to be upgraded, how you need to move into the new version, what is compatible in terms of OS. These are the kind of insights and analytics that it provides, and how much and also the amount of uptime that you're allowed, or downtime you're allowed when we move the conversion. Should it be a green field, a brown field, or a selective data transformation? That's the kind of information that's provided here. It also analyzes the list of active users, because most of the time, if you want to do some optimization in terms of the licenses, so that is also provided. Now, this is a dashboard. You can click on this one and find out more information about what is there. So it also provides a list of add-on analytics, which probably should be taken care when you move to 1909 or 2020 is the current version. So we have the universe of 2020 as well, where you could look at the list of add-on analytics and what is compatible and not compatible, and how do we go about fixing that one. And then the list of archiving recommendations in terms of logs that's present, because recently at one customer place we had close to 500 GB of logs being generated, which was for IS retail company, which was not essentially required, and should we purge that, because one of the concern when customers move their SAP workload is they don't want to do it on premise, and probably they are looking at moving it to the cloud, to the super cloud. And then a complete interface review as well, in terms of how your current ECC system is connected and what should be tested when you move to the new world. So if you really look at it, you could click on these icons and have more details about it. So that is possible, but this is at a very you know a summary level. We have given the information, but if you really click on this icon, you will be able to see more details about how a particular add-on has been done, who's the vendor, and what we should be doing about it in terms of recommendation and things like that. And the best part is, I also spoke about the collaboration and management that you can do. You could probably pick up a set of things and assign it to the users in terms of creating a new task, and that's how the whole collaboration happens. Typically, you would have reports in PDF and Word document, but this is more, you can drive some action out of it. That's the whole idea of building this product, because we don't want the report to be lying at one place and the whole transformation happening at a different place. So that's on the landscape part of it. I will move to the process assessment. This is the best part, or probably I will reserve the best part for the last. But yeah, this is something exciting that we do in terms of doing a materiality analysis of the different modules, or if you call it as a line of business. So we drill it down to the nth level, right, in terms of how the process is currently mapped in your system, and you know, SAP used to have BPML in the ASAP methodology, and we have something in Activate, which is the global scope item. So we drill it down at the process level to the process step level in terms of how your current system has been configured or has been used, and what are the different things that you should be focused on. And we provide a ranking in terms of the insights that we get, and we also give a list of users or the business owners of a particular process at the highest level, the departmental heads, or it could be based on the usage. We give the list of users who have been mapped to a process, right? So we do a process profiling across the different modules. We give a percentage in terms of how much has been extensively used in terms of production planning or sales and distribution, finance, and that could be related to the line of business. And then we also have provide a complete data insights in terms of the process profiling. So if I click on this one, it tells me that there are 5 areas where the materiality score is really high in terms of financial accounting, production planning, and then few cross application components. And then it also gives the, yeah, it provides a detailed list of ranking in terms of score. But yeah, if you really go, yeah, so if you look at the modules and the kind of transaction report that's attached, and the process, so you can basically drill it down and see how the materiality score is and how your current process has been ranked. This again is based on the number of document that gets generated in terms of the volume and at the speed at which it happens in a given day, the number of dialogue users that a SAP user community is working on. Based on that, we provide a rank, and we also identify the owner of a particular process, right? So that's the kind of information that you get. With this, it will be easy for you to identify who should be part of the team, what is the kind of test cases that should be involved. And when you do a testing, of course, with the digital labs that we have, you can do 100% testing. But in this case, typically, system integrators would do randomized testing. So we could get rid of that and ensure that we have a complete testing part. And then it also gives an analysis in terms of the complexity, in terms of new GL, how the new GL is active or inactive, the special purpose ledger, material ledger, how the currency is configured in your current system, and of course the business partner, the famous business partner, which is basically a data change with the new S4HANA and how treasury is, and you have the details of all that, right? So that's the process profiler part. But we also have quite some information in terms of widgets that we provide in terms of your procurement department, your sales department, how your billing is managed, how your order documents. You could also configure a dollar value to it and see the importance of it in terms of how things are. So in this case, I'll just click on the purchase document. So what it does is it gives a high level view of how the system has been configured currently. It also has the details, how different company code has been structured, and how your purchasing organization is. And it provides a purchasing group, the plan, how your storage locations are, and the number of documents that gets generated because of that, which will allow you to focus on a specific area in terms of moving to the new world, right? So that's what we have done with respect to the process mining. You can keep expanding and keep looking at it. It will give you more information of how my current system is configured. That allows me to basically see how the different plans are configured and where I should be focused on in terms of the storage location and the kind of documents that it generated. So you can drill it down to the detail, to the nth level. So it does a high level coverage, and it also does a T code at a transaction level. Also, it does a coverage of what is present there, right? So that's on the enterprise mining widgets. You can keep adding more widgets, but yeah, that's a whole idea. And then of course the famous the impact of the simplification items on the current system. So if I go ahead and click on this one, it would provide you the complete list. This is for 1909, but we could also do it for 2020. And if you look at it, the number of relevant simplification items in terms of how it is structured with your current data and how the new data should look like. We also provide a complete details of each module at the logistics, at the business module level, and what has been changed in the new version and the relevant SAP notes, right? So that's also something that we provide for the consultants and for the end customer as well, and how things have changed, and is there an existing functionality or there's an equivalent or or a not equivalent, and what should be done with each of these changes that we have across these 105 items uh, that would impact the move, right? So that's and then if you go further down, you also talk about the business function analysis, because we have customers who would have industry specific solutions enabled. And what do we do with that? Is that currently something that we could look at? And also we talk about the training scenarios, right? I mean, who are the end users who will be impacted by this change, and how we go about training them in terms of getting into the new world. So that also is provided here. Right, so I covered landscape, I covered the process assessment. I will go to the custom objects, because we see quite a number of technical consultants present in this webinar as well. So if you really look at the custom object assessment, it would give you the objects present, because one of the questions that keeps coming is, well, what should I do with my the investments that have been driven in the last 10 years towards customization? What should I do with that? Should I be moving it along? Will it work in the new world of S/4HANA, or should I make some remediation? Should I make some changes? We also have a custom code remediation tool um, as part of the digital process, which I'll be covering in the upcoming webinars, which is again um, based on AI ML. And if you really look at these reports, it kinds of gives a ranking in terms of the number of custom object types, the high significant report transaction. Of course, you can drill it down into the details and find more information about that. The total number of enhancements that we have in a given ECC, number of modifications, and the module with the highest number of enhancements. And of course, you can get more details when you click on this one. It's a demo version. So please feel free to log in and find out. And there's a trial version where you can connect your existing ECC system as well. And then it also provides a summary of the impacted objects, the impacted cases, because one object could have at least 10 to 15 cases impacted. And what is that we should be focused on? Should we focus on the high impact objects, or the medium, or the low before we make the move? Typically, the high impact objects and the high impact case are something that you would want to work on. And if there is any optimization that you can do with your existing system. So that is also something that we present. So if you look at it, the total number of impact analysis, it talks about the different ranges and what are the different queries that would impact in terms of the custom objects, in terms of field length extensions that has happened in S/4HANA, the ABAP dictionary review. So you can keep drilling it down, and it gives a complete aerial view as well as a detailed view of how your current objects would react when you move to SAP S/4HANA. Similarly, there are customers who look at optimizing their existing reports or data, and how they can do, because once you move to the cloud, you don't have the opportunity to do a select star, for example. You have to be very specific in terms of how you run your customization. So that's something that we provide here. And then we also talk about the high impact cases. You have the complete details, high optimization cases, right? And the relevant changes that has to be made in the code. As I mentioned, you can do it with a set of consultants, or you can use tools. And we do have something on the process side, which is again AML driven, and it's a self-learning tool that would try and remediate most of it, which probably I'll be touching upon in my next webinar. And the stakeholders who are involved in terms of these customizations and the top notes that would be referenced for the consultants at the partner community, as well as at the end user community, right? So that is what we do on the custom object analysis. So for example, if you want to take a look at what happens, just I'll click on this one, so you have a detailed view of how it is presented, right? So you have the top 5 custom packages, and how you have all the different kind of types, whether it's a program, subscript, reports, and the number of custom objects attached to it. You also have a categorized view on the objects, the reports, when was it created, and then we also kind of try and attach this to the process, which I'll show it in a second, in terms of how all these reports and objects are being attached to a business process, and then the usage frequency as well, right? So that's also something that we do. I see lots of questions coming up. Since I'm running with the demo, I'll try and answer it at the end of the demo. I'll pick up questions and probably try and answer, or I will probably collate everything and send it as an email. But just allow me to move on with this. Thanks for asking those questions. I'll come back to that soon. Again, the best part, as I mentioned earlier, you could select a list of objects and start assigning it to the consultants who are going to work on it. So that's something that you can do. You can create meetings, you can create issues, you can create test cases, which is not something that I'm covering today, but eventually I'll do it in the upcoming webinars, and that would be more interesting. I'll do a deep dive on the other streams that I spoke about earlier. All right. So I spoke about landscape. I spoke about the process assessment, and we're still in the custom objects. As I mentioned, there are quite a lot that you can do here in terms of how your customization is, and you could look at the impacted objects, the impacted cases, and what you might want to do with that, and it gives a detailed view in terms of the impact that has happened, the analysis area that it performs, the line number as well, in terms of where you might want to change it. And it also provides what are the other objects that are getting impacted in terms of the table, in terms of the object type, and in terms of the application, and also provide a sample reference node. Now, yeah, there might be overlap with what SAP provides as a report, but then this is in addition to whatever I was showing you earlier, where you could do a remediation, uh, you know, through this application itself. So it reads any size of data. Typically, the time frame that it takes to run these kind of reports is probably around 3 to 4 days, depending upon the size of data, and that helps you to move to the new world, right? So so that's about the custom object assessment. There's more, but again, the demo is available. Please take a look at it, and if there are any questions, anything that you want to do a customized, sorry, start some water, or we can do it for you in your landscape. Now, the best part, which I reserved it for the last, is the business transformation, right? Now, there are not many tools or many products that's available, and we thought, one of the thing that most of the customers wanted to know is, right, I have data, I have the new S4 HANA coming in. Now, how do I know which process has an impact, and what is the level of impact that it has? That's what business transformation does, and it is more industry specific. If you're an automotive industry or oil and gas, chemical, petrochemical, then the universe is based in terms of the industry specific solutions, the templates that we have, and then read the data that you have and give a percentage increase in terms of how your process gets transformed, and the number of users whose experience will also get transformed. So we provide that information, and then if you really look at it, if you go here in terms of the catalog view, you will be able to see across the different lines of business. We would have segregated your existing data, provided in terms of the process groups that you have, the number of scope items that is present currently in your existing ECC system, and the process gaps that is there in terms of process variants and steps, right? So that is the kind of scan that we do. And we also kind of attach all the custom objects to these processes of which are being used. And that gives you a complete information. If you drill it down here, and if you go to pick up one of the account and financial closure, it talks about the high relevancy in terms of the LOB, the process groups. If you understand the global scope items that SAP talks in terms of how a process has been structured in the SAP or the new way of doing things, you might see a model company and then a global scope item. So this is how it is done. And then it also talks about the process step users who are involved in terms of doing the daily transactions, right? But what do you do with this? It allows you to see if the process that was configured earlier, if it is quite efficient or not, if it is meeting the KPIs for a company or not. And if you have to include any new process so that you can drive efficiency and save on dollars, that's the kind of report that this one provides in terms of going at the transaction level. It also helps you to talk about the Fiori applications that can be recommended for an end customer. That is also possible, and the roles impacted if you have the relevant roles. And it also gives a process relevancy for that particular organization in terms of for you to take a look at it, and if you want, and if there are gaps where it has not been configured and you're doing it, maybe you're doing it one way, but if you do it slightly different, that's the digital twin builder that we have as part of the digital minds, which I'll show it in the upcoming webinars, where you can see what kind of changes that you can bring in terms of mapping your process, right? So I'll go to the process view and probably pick on one of the things and see how it shows or what it shows. So if you look at the process again, we have it launches a complete process map of how things should have been configured, and also talks about the process owner that's attached to a particular process, right? So that's the kind of information that it provides. Now, this is again used in terms of testing the data when you move from ECC to S4 HANA. It also helps you in terms of coming up with a set of data from the existing system. You don't have to really key in, just handled as part of the digital labs. And then it also talks about so you can go ahead and keep drilling it down to different processes. It gives the business stakeholders and how a particular process is mapped in your existing system, and if there are gaps, it gets highlighted here as part of this uh, process maps. And then the best part is it also provides you the um, how your current process is, because SAP has done quite a lot in terms of user experience. When I spoke about the Walkman, it's still user centric. When I started during the webinar, it is still user centric, right? So whatever we do at the application layer, at the data layer, at the interface layer, it still has to reach out to the end customer. So it also talks about the recommended Fiori apps and the users that might get impacted, or the way that they have been using the T code and how they have to be trained is something that is automated for you. And that's what the product does. And we can keep adding more in terms of the KPIs for a particular process and how those KPIs are measured. For example, if you take the DSO days, and if you have like 30 days, and what is the industry standard and how you're performing, all that is taken during the run mode, and that's part of the digital minds, which is completely process mining that we have, right? So this is something that I believe one of the things that we wanted to do is simplify the way customers and partners can move and augment the consultants with more data in a more readable way. That will help the SAP ecosystem to move faster, to move forward in a better way. And we empathize with, I mean, running a consulting company for such a long time, we empathize with the consultants in terms of what they have to do when they make a move. And that's how this whole idea of this product came up. And this is something that we have been working on for the last 3 years. But back actually, if you look at it, there are close to 800 consultants on the parent company who contribute in terms of developing this product, and we do quarterly drops as well in terms of what we are getting into this product, right? And yeah, so I spoke about the business transformation. I did touch upon the landscape. I spoke about the process. I spoke about the custom object assessment. The other thing that we also do is, based on different metrics and the experience that we have had so far, which essentially we call it as the SAP tribal knowledge, or the knowledge present in the top consultants, try to codify that in form of a rule engine, and then juxtapose the data that comes up from the ECC, and provide some indicative timeline, the kind of runs that they have to do in terms of running the project, in terms of executing it in an approximate timeline, the kind of competency that is required. So this is something that we provide based on the experience that we have. And yeah, so that's on the timeline part. But as I mentioned earlier, we have a drill round of most of the information here, and right. So yeah, I will. So that's on a nutshell about. I hope the time was spent well. But I'll just go back to my presentation. So essentially, Ketan, is my PPT visible, or am I still on the screen?
Yes, Ratna, your PPT is visible.
Okay, thank you. So essentially, what you saw so far is a business case generator in terms of KPI, in terms of how your existing process has been mapped, and what you should be doing in terms of improving your current processes. What are the different set of custom objects and how that is related to a set of processes? What are the kind of innovations that SAP has brought in, and how you can adopt it real quick and come up with a sample project plan, the set of stakeholders, meaning the end users, business users who should be involved in transformation, and which is available through. And all this we do without even talking to the end customer, and by just reading the data. All that we need is a connection and a set of log files to read and make some sense based on the S/4HANA PDR rule engine that we have, right? So I'll do probably a quick uh, poll. Akhil, do you want to start the poll before we move to the next step? Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, this is something done by SAP people with experience in SAP, people who empathize with the consultants, with the customers. And if you would be interested to connect and do a business case and see how your system looks, let us know. And we can do a deep dive on your system and present data. So that is something that we have been doing. And there's quite a lot of innovations that we keep doing in terms of evolving this product. And we also work with the partner ecosystem in terms of driving this change. It is available as part of SAP App Center, and there's more information and documentation that's available on the internet that you can take a look at. And yeah, so okay, so now, yeah, so what next? So with the results in hand, that provides us the master data, right? So I spoke about how data driven study can be done using digital maps. That's one of the streams. But then what you do with that is, I did talk about the other streams that we have as part of the digital transformation stack in terms of digital projects, digital labs, which is your autonomous testing tool, where you can considerably reduce the testing that needs to be done. It is completely bot driven. We also have a API driven test cases. And then there is digital process, which I'll cover in the upcoming webinars, which talks about how we are how you categorize your processes and the different custom objects that's attached to each of these processes and how it should be remediated, or should we replace it with a new functionality that SAP has. And of course, the whole thing can be managed using digital projects, and then you have digital minds, which is basically um, can be used during the run mode in terms of how your process is doing, and provides insights and analytics in terms of conformance to how it has been configured, and also detect if there are any anomalies present. And it has a digital twin builder, which where you can map a new process and see how things are there in terms of efficiency and productivity, or if you have a set of KPIs or a particular process, then you can start measuring that as well. So that's about that. And yeah, this is my email address, and if there are any questions or anything that we can help you in your move, be happy to jump in and help you there. Follow KTern.ai, for more updates. And I will also try and take few questions. I can do that. Before that, I also wanted to, if you want to look at a sample report, that's on my LinkedIn profile, and you can take a look at the sample report that is there. You can download it. Um, Typically, what you have. Is my screen visible, Ketan?
Yes, Ratnam. Sample report is possible.
Okay, thank you. So you have a complete report also that you can generate, from the application. Of course, it's a premium version that we allow to download a report, but if it's an assessment, then it gives a complete level of details that you saw in the application so far, with the insights in terms of the HANA PDI engine that we have. And yeah, so it has got the complete information here. The test case recommendations across different modules, landscape assessment, what should be done with that, interface, archiving recommendations, sizing recommendations, what should we do with the custom objects, the detail, and also complete analysis in terms of the impact and insights. And yeah, so that's available on my LinkedIn profile. Do drop a message if there are any questions on this, and we'll be happy to help you there. And yeah, so that's it from my side for the day. I will try and see if I can answer some questions. Let me go to the Ketan. Can you help me with the questions? We have another 5 minutes, so I can take up some questions. Let me see. Okay, who will be responsible for the areas that SAP consultants have traditionally been responsible for from Junea? Who will be responsible for the areas that SAP consultants have traditionally been responsible? I mean, the SAP consultants are still responsible. It's just that we augment them with more data, with more insights. You can have a complete uh, uh, ad coverage for the CIO and a field coverage for the consultants. So that's what we are trying to do, and we still believe in the people to help them do their job better. So SAP consultants are still responsible. What is the different to SAP readiness check or SAP transformation path? Well, the product itself, if you've seen it fully, there are quite a lot that you don't have in terms of the business transformation that we showed. And the the result that comes out of it can be used as insights or actions to move to the next level, right? So that's the best part here. It can also augment the readiness check or the transformation path that SAP gives. Yeah, there might be some overlap, but we try to do it in a different approach, right? So that's an important aspect of it. The next question is, how does the software handle multiple versions of the same transaction code like Migo? Right. So yeah, George, Gregory Denning. So how does the software handle multiple versions of the same transaction code like Migo? Again, it would be completely based on the list of simplification items and how the T codes has been handled, and if there are any changes, then it does that. It can read the customized T codes apart from the standard T codes and then give the results accordingly. Can you please have someone call me about use in federal sector? Yeah, we'll do that, Gregory. Thanks for asking that. Has this software been tested in Citrix environment? Yes. It basically is a SaaS product. It's available on the cloud, so it could work on most of the leading environments. Running KTern in production is recommended. No, we don't run KTern on production directly. As much as possible, we would ask for a ST03 and logs and a copy of production to kind of do the scan, Mr. Mariponea. Does the data that is collected in digital maps during assessment get used with when the transformation happens? So the question is, does the data that is collected in digital maps during assessment gets used when the transformation happens? Yes, of course. We use this as the master data for us to move to the new world. So yes, we do that. Right. So yeah. I hope I have answered all the questions. I'll look into the chat and see if I still have a minute.
Ratna, there are quite a few people who have asked for how the product is priced. How does the price structure work? Could you maybe address that one?
As I mentioned, we are trying to democratize the way the data is used, and it is something that's available on the SAP App Center as well. Also depends upon the data, but the pricing is based on the number of SAP users used, and it's on a subscription basis. So that's how it is priced. So I can give you more information when if you have a one-on-one call, but it's all available in the internet. Yeah. Right. So that's I did set up a timer, and hopefully I did some justice to the time that you all spent with me. I hope to see you again in my next webinar. And for the list of questions on the chat, I would definitely try and see if I can take a copy of it and then respond to you later. So thank you all. Thanks for joining, and have a safe and a healthy, safe and a secure during this COVID time. Thank you very much. Thanks all for joining this webinar. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.